What you are looking at right now is the grand multi-billion-dollar civic heart of Sydney Martin Place. Today, it's a seamless, wide-open pedestrian boulevard, but the story of how it got here is a chaotic tale of fire, corporate warfare, and mass demolition. In this video, we are going to do a continuous, uncut walk from the absolute top of the hill at Macquarie Street all the way down to George Street. Along the way, we're going to trace the ghosts of this pavement. We'll uncover the vicious legal battle with wealthy landowners that froze the top of this street for a decade and find the statue of the plucky, dirt-poor 12-year-old boy the entire district is named after. We'll stand where Sydney's most glamorous Hollywood hotel was completely bulldozed to the ground and look up at a historic clock tower that had to be dismantled piece by piece and hidden in the suburbs during World War II to protect it from enemy bombers. We're even going to look at what's hidden directly beneath our feet, from a massive forgotten network of underground horse stables to a high-tech modern metro. The intro clips are done. Let's head to the top of the hill and start the walk. We are starting the walk at the absolute summit of Martin Place on Macquarie Street. Today, it's a seamless pedestrian plaza, but this top block didn't exist until 1935. It took a literal decade of political and legal warfare to clear the ground we are walking on right now. Back in 1923, the City Council decided to extend the street to the top of the hill. But wealthy corporate landowners who owned massive warehouses right in the middle of the block united and fought back. They took the city all the way to the High Court of Australia, accusing the council of an illegal land grab just to resell the edges of the new street for a massive profit. The legal gridlock froze this entire project for nearly 10 years. This 33-storey glass tower was completed in 2019 by architects Hassel and Arup. It actually features an automated sun tracking facade that shifts its panels throughout the day to block glare while keeping the building cool. Directly beneath our feet here is the high-tech subterranean Sydney Metro Martin Place station. Right here on our left is 65 Martin Place, the Reserve Bank of Australia. Inside the ground floor is the official currency museum, but you can't go in today. The entire building is in the middle of a massive, dramatic redevelopment. Builders recently discovered it has up to 5 times more hidden asbestos than anyone realised, forcing crews to literally strip this 1960s modernist icon all the way back to its skeletal steel frame just to make it safe. But to build this street, a historic casualty had to go. Right here stood the original St. Stephen's Church, which the council completely demolished in the early 1930s to push the road through. The congregation moved to Macquarie Street, tearing down the famous Burdekin House to build their new home. That double destruction caused such an uproar. It directly sparked the birth of the heritage conservation movement in Australia. Look at this incredible bronze monument of 12-year-old James Martin captured in bronze. Most cities build massive, intimidating statues of old politicians on horses. Sydney did something entirely unique. They sculpted the man this entire multi-billion-dollar financial district is named after as a dirt-poor 12-year-old immigrant boy with his nose in a book. Sir James Martin is a local legend, the only person to ever hold all 3 of the state's highest offices: 3-time Premier of New South Wales, Attorney General, and Chief Justice. As a boy, he was so determined to get an education that he walked 20 kilometres to school and back every single day from Parramatta, using the grueling walk to teach himself law. Across the street sits the 1937 Art Deco APA building, clad in self-cleaning terracotta tiles. Today, the ground floor is universally known as the Lindt Café, holding a deeply somber place in the heart of our city as the site of the tragic 2014 hostage siege. The 36-storey tower at number 52. Built in the 1980s by architects Peddlethorpe and Walker, it controversially replaced the beautiful Art Deco rural bank. It features a highly advanced, automated maintenance system that precisely navigates the tight gaps between these high rises so window washers don't crack the glass. Next up on our right is number 50 Martin Place, the historic 1928 Commonwealth Bank building. Designed by architects Ross and Rowe in the Grand Beaux Arts style, it was the most expensive building constructed in Australia at the time. Right behind this grand facade hides a wild history. Back in the 1920s, this building housed an official, functioning pistol shooting range for the bank's security guards. Today, the modern rooftop garden is actually home to 3 rescue chickens and active corporate beehives, where the company harvests its own local honey right here in the financial district. 39 Martin Place is a landmark 28-storey premium commercial office tower completed in 2024. It stands directly above the southern entrance of the high-tech Sydney Metro Martin Place station. Designed by the acclaimed architectural firm Sands, the building's exterior was specifically crafted to mirror its historic 1928 neighbour across the plaza, the old Commonwealth Bank building. The architect utilised rhythmic, curved podium columns and subtle ceramic tiling to pay homage to the older building's grand Beaux Arts, granite and terracotta facade. It forms part of the same major transport and precinct redevelopment, linking the financial district to a massive underground pedestrian network. Can you hit that like button? It costs absolutely nothing, but it helps get these videos out to more people just like you. Cheers, guys. Check out that massive sandstone corner. Built in 1938 by architects Bates, Smart and McCutcheon, this landmark features a striking Rob Roy red granite base, built proudly as Sydney recovered from the Great Depression. Does anyone here actually remember the legendary Australia Hotel? This used to be the undisputed crown jewel of Sydney's high society. Opened in 1891, it was an opulent landmark where global celebrities came to see and be seen. But in 1972, it was controversially demolished to make way for a modernist giant, 25 Martin Place, still known to locals as the MLC Centre. As you look up at this stark, white, octagonal column, it's hard to believe that when architect Harry Seidler finished it in 1977, it was actually the tallest reinforced concrete office tower in the entire world. Did you know Martin Place wasn't always this wide open plaza? Back in 1890, this section was a cramped, narrow lane called Moore Street. Everything changed when a catastrophic fire completely leveled the block's massive warehouses. One casualty was Bull's Warehouse. Its historic sandstone facade actually survived the flames, and the architect salvaged the stones to build the Annandale Uniting Church. Instead of letting owners rebuild the tight squeeze, city planners used the ruins to widen the road, creating the grand boulevard we are walking down today. Imagine waking up one morning, walking down this street to get to work, and finding it completely barricaded by giant trees. Back in 1971, Lord Mayor Leo Port pulled off a brilliant overnight stunt. Crews rolled in under the cover of darkness and dropped massive concrete planter pots right across the road, physically blocking cars from entering. The instant pedestrian oasis was such a hit that the mall was born the city tried to officially rename it Martin Plaza. The public absolutely hated that name and stubbornly forced it back to Martin Place. This is the 1916 Commonwealth Bank building, featuring the official Australian coat of arms carved directly above the grand entrance. Affectionately nicknamed the Money Box building, the bank distributed millions of tin piggy banks shaped exactly like this sandstone structure to school kids all over the country to teach generations of Aussies how to save. Completed in 1893 by architect John Kirkpatrick, the Colonial Mutual Life Building holds a massive place in Sydney's architectural history. In 1976, it became the city's very first major example of facade retention. Engineers completely gutted the entire interior to build a modern office tower while keeping this stunning heritage sandstone exterior perfectly intact. Here's a piece of hidden history. The eastern wing of the GPO sits directly above a forgotten network of 19th century engineering. Long before cars ruled the city, this subterranean level housed a massive, hidden maze of horse stables and delivery ramps, allowing postal horses to sleep and unload mail entirely out of sight from the busy streets above. The Fullerton Hotel Sydney runs free 90-minute heritage tours from Tuesday to Saturday. It's a truly fantastic tour that brings the building's rich history to life, though just note, it doesn't grant access up into the clock tower itself. You can book your spot online, and I've left the direct link in the description below. Look up at the Grand GPO Clock Tower. In 1942, with World War II escalating and fears of a Japanese air raid targeting Sydney growing, the government systematically dismantled this entire tower. Every single piece of stone and clockwork was meticulously numbered, packed away, and hidden safely in the suburbs, only to be completely rebuilt piece by piece after the war. This is Chalice House, a landmark architectural marvel on the plaza. Originally built in 1907 by architects Robertson and Marks alongside government architect Walter Liberty Vernon, it underwent a massive transformation in 1936. Architects Hennessy and Hennessy completely redesigned its facade, turning it into the stunning, restrained Art Deco masterpiece you see today. A massive shout out and thank you to all my incredible channel members for making these walks possible. If you love uncovering Sydney's hidden history with me, you can join the membership or buy me a coffee using the direct links right down in the description below. Carved above the main entrance porch facing Martin Place is the grand sculpture of Queen Victoria, completed in 1883. Based on a concept by Tommaso Sani, the final central group was physically crafted in Italy by renowned sculptor Giovanni Fontana using premium white Sicilian marble. While the majestic marble queen was highly praised, the building's other artworks, a series of high-relief sandstone carvings of everyday trade workers along Pitt Street by Tommaso Sani, sparked intense public controversy. Critics branded Sani's realistic modern figures as vulgar and inappropriate for classical architecture, triggering fierce parliamentary debates over whether the artwork should be completely chiseled off the building. This striking stronghold, anchoring the corner of George Street, is the former Bank of Australasia, completed in 1904, designed by famed New York architect Edward Wright. It introduces a heavy, fortress-like American Romanesque style to the plaza, built entirely from incredibly durable, dark volcanic trachyte stone quarried locally from Bowral. The cameraman might have forgotten to video the Anzac Monument, but we won't forget. Unveiled in 1927, this cenotaph stands as one of the oldest World War I monuments in the country, cast in solid bronze and carved from a massive block of native Australian granite sourced from the southern tablelands. Because I can only give you these short, rapid-fire snippets to keep our walk moving, I want to hear from you. If you know any incredible history, hidden secrets, or great trivia about Martin Place, drop them in the comments below. Thank you for exploring Sydney with me. Please hit subscribe and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a single video. Together, we can definitely beat the YouTube algorithm. Catch you all in the next one. See ya.